Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to extend a very warm welcome to you and your company 51st Annual General Meeting. Thank you for having spared your valuable time in attending the meeting online. The annual report containing the Director's Report and the audited accounts for the year ended March 31st, 2024, which was served to you through electronic mode and also posted on the company's website and websites of the stock exchanges, have been with you for some time, and I'm sure you've had the opportunity to peruse them. The financial year 23-24 was filled with quite a few ups and downs. Economic activities have regained momentum in the second half of 23, but the momentum was not uniform across the economies, causing global GDP growth to 3.2% in 23 from 3.4% in 2022. The Indian economy, on the other hand, has shown a resilient performance ahead of many countries amid global uncertain and complex environment, and emerged as one of the fastest growing major economies in the world. I would now like to briefly touch upon current global and domestic economic scenarios, as well as the state of the steel industry. Following the Russia-Ukraine war in 2022, the global economy experienced a sharp energy price increase and inflationary pressures thereof in the start of 2020. Energy prices started to normalize, although it was still higher than the pre-war levels. However, to combat inflation, central banks across major economies acted with increasing the interest rates. Due to such tighter financial conditions, economic activities across the world in major economies continued to constrain. At the end of 2023, interest rates in major economies such as the United States, the EU region touched their highest levels since the global financial crisis of 2008. Of all the regions, EU experienced the severe heat of Russia-Ukraine war with a GDP growth of just 0.4% against 3.5% in 2022. As per the International Monetary Fund, the world GDP grew by 3.2% in calendar year 2023 compared to a growth of 3.4% in calendar year 2022, and is projected to grow by 3 and 2025. We're keeping a close eye on the constantly activities. Indian economic scenario. Indian economy has grown by 7.8% in FY 23-24 as against a growth of 6.8% in FY 22-23. Going forward, as per the latest forecast of the IMF, Indian economy is expected to grow by 6.8% in 2024 and 6.5% in 2025, which is more than double that of forecasted world GDP growth and highest amongst the major economies in the world. Across the world, we've been observing intermittent geopolitical conflicts. A lot depends on how such conflicts are handled and contained from escalating it further. If it doesn't escalate further, then global demand growth may grow at a steady rate. However, prolonged conflicts would continue to deteriorate financial stability and may affect the supply chains around the world. World and the Indian steel environment. In 23-24, world crude steel production increased marginally by 0.7% to reach 1,833 billion tons, that is 1.8 billion tons. China, the leading producer of steel, continued to contribute
more than 50% of the global output at 1 billion tons, a decrease of about 2% with compared to FY 22-23. Indian steel industry remained a bright spot in the global steel industry performance in 23-24. Strong growth in infrastructure projects led by the government, better inflation management, and rising manufacturing activities helped steel output grow. India produced around 141 million tons of crude steel in 23-24 with a growth of roughly about 13% over FY 22-23. India was still a net importer of finished steel in FY 23-24. India exported about 7.5 billion tons of steel, registering a YOY increase of 12%, while import of finished steel registered a YOY increase of 38% to reach around 8.3 million tons. The primary contributors to this surge in imports were China, South Korea, Japan, and Vietnam. Chinese steel imports alone accounted for 2.7 million tons, while South Korea, Japan exported 2.6 million and 1.3 million tons of steel to India, respectively. China's aggressive exports played an important factor, negatively impacting India's steel exports. Chinese steel industry targeted India's key export destinations with competitively priced steel, which put a tremendous negative pressure on Indian exports. As per the World Steel Association forecast, global steel demand is forecasted to grow by 1.7% in calendar year 2024 and 1.2% in calendar year 2025, whereas Indian steel demand is expected to grow 8.2% in calendar year 2024 and in both 2024 and 2025. This clearly indicates better prospects for the Indian steel industry in the coming future. Performance of your company 23-24. FY 23-24 was filled with challenging environments, volatile commodity and raw material prices. However, the company-wide cost reduction initiatives, quality improvements helped Kalyani Steel Limited to continue its profitable journey. In these difficult times, the commitment of our employees and cooperation of the stakeholders has helped us in achieving a new milestone, recording highest ever revenue from operations of 1,959 crores against 1,899 crores in the last year, representing a growth of about 3.2%, and profit after tax of 247.5 crores as compared to 167 crores in 22-23, representing a very large growth of about 48%. This clearly shows our cost measures are working well and delivering value to our stakeholders. To capitalize on the burgeoning potential of alloy steel and finished components, we are exploring to set up a greenfield integrated steel plant with an annual capacity of 700,000 tons. In a significant stride towards this vision, we have signed a memorandum of understanding with the Odisha government to explore this greenfield ISP. On the dividend, respecting the view of the shareholders and keeping in view the performance of your company, the directors have recommended a dividend of 200% on the paid up capital, equity share capital, that is a dividend of rupees 10 per equity share of rupees 5 each for the year ended March 31, 2024. Corporate social responsibility. Kalyani
Steel has always considered itself as a responsible corporate citizen. In pursuance of this vision, the company continues to participate in promotion of education, improving health conditions, contributing towards environmental initiatives. In FY 23-24, your company spent 53.83 million on various projects as part of its CSR initiative. As always, your company continues to emphasize on various educational initiatives and community development programs, supporting Pratham Pune Education Foundation, through which the company has touched the lives of over 150,000 children. Plans for 5 years, capex for next 5 years. He talked about what is our relationship with Israel. Are we having any working relationship with them? And there were questions from other speakers regarding are we moving to green steel? Are we making alloy steel, specialty steel? There was some confusion regarding our relationship with the Odisha government in relation to the new plant that we are setting up. And questions on Kalyani steel, questions about the Mukund partnership that we have, questions on coking coal imports. Then many shareholders wanted to visit the plant. So let me start with the simplest one. As far as shareholders wanting to visit the plant, you're more than welcome anytime. All you have to do is contact Mrs. Puranik or our secretarial department. Tell them the dates that you would like to visit, and they will make the arrangements for your visit. If you want to meet me, if I am in Pune, I'll be more than happy to meet with you. So that's as far as visiting the plant and meeting me is concerned. The other simple question on coking coal imports, we have to continue coking coal imports because India doesn't have coking coal. So if you have to continue making steel with blast furnaces which require coking coal, you have to import coking coal. With Mukund, our partnership is a production sharing partnership, and it will continue for as long as the plant is operational. So, and we have a very, very good relationship with the Bajaj family that owns this. So I don't see any problem in that. As far as the new plant in Odisha is concerned, there is no partnership with Odisha government. It's a plant that will be fully owned by Kalyani Steel, but it will be located in Odisha. Odisha government is providing us some incentives to us, and we are taking advantage of a new facility to do three different things. First, we need to convert our steel from, as one of the shareholders said, steel that produces too much of CO2 to green steel. And that's where the Kalyani steel acquisition comes into play. It's an electric arc furnace. And currently, there are two different types of technologies available for green steel. One is through electric arc furnace using renewable energy, or the other one is using hydrogen in blast furnace. So the hydrogen in blast furnace technology is still being developed and is very, very expensive. But as far as electric arc furnace is concerned, in our another steel plant in Pune, which is called Sarloa, we are already producing green steel. We are certified as a green steel producer by the German TUV. We now have our first orders for green steel out of Europe. So as soon as the CBM policy kicks in 26, you will see demand for green steel going up very dramatically. And this is what we are trying to do with Kalyani Steel. The plant in Odisha will be focused on trying to produce green steel. Of course, it will make other steel also, but it will be focused on green steel. But we are also taking advantage there to create a large manufacturing hub which will use steel. So automotive components, we are also working on very specialty materials like titanium because the coast of Odisha has a lot of titanium ore available. So we would like to use that ore, process it, and make titanium ingots and ultimately produce. So the whole idea is how do we move into higher value-added products and higher capacity and higher output, and of course then higher revenue and higher profits for our shareholders. So that is where the first piece of this puzzle or the first piece of this Lego set, if you want to call it, is the Kalyani steel plant, which is an electric arc furnace, along with its vacuum degassing equipment, a ladle furnace, and all the other facilities that the electric arc furnace has. It is, correct me, Goel, if I'm wrong, it's a 50-ton capacity electric arc furnace.
60 tons of 60.
So it can produce a lot of steel. And, the reason it has got a little delayed is because we have a change in government in Odisha. So we have to restart all our discussions with the new government, the new bureaucracy out there. But basically, whatever we have agreed, at least as of now, they seem to say that's what will happen. So I'm hoping that in the next few months, we will have all this in place. So these were the general answers that I'd like to give you. We are working for growth. Our capex in the next 5 years in Odisha itself will be over 5,000 crores. And as we get into a complex manufacturing footprint out there, move into titanium, it'll cost much more than that. But we have to take steps at a time. We can't do everything in one go. So I now request Mr. Goel to answer all the other technical questions that you people have asked.
Thank you, sir. One of the question was related to tie-up with Japanese players. Today we don't need any support for technology or financial support, as we are already supplying to all the Japanese majors in the country, and we have very good relationship with them, and our capacity is 100% utilized. In case required in future, all the global steel producers or technology suppliers are available. We will look at that point of time. Today, we don't need it. Then there was a question, what is the difference between pig iron, looms, rolled products, etc. Once we produce hot metal in the blast furnace, if we like to solidify it, it is solidified in a pig casting machine where the shape is like a pig. And that's what is called pig iron, and it is sold or it is melted in the plant. But typically, as far as we are concerned, we are using hot metal to convert into steel by our electric, by our EOF, energy optimizing furnace, and then subsequently refined in LRF and PD. Now, as far as the applications of our products are concerned, that was another question. It goes for the forging industry, where it gets forged into various components for auto industry, for bearing industry, for engineering industry. It also goes for the seamless tube manufacturing, and then it goes for component manufacturing directly, where these bars are machined into various components. Now, there was a question related to the size of the market, capacity of alloy steel. Now, total production in the country is around 6 million ton of engineering steel long products. Out of that, around 4 million ton is in the form of bars, and around 2 million ton is in the form of wire rods. Out of this 6 million ton, around 60 to 70%, two-thirds of it is consumed by the auto industry, and balance is by various other engineering industries. Within auto industry, almost one-third is used by passenger vehicles, another one-third is by commercial vehicles, and one-third by the rest, including off-road vehicles like tractors and all. Now, as far as our market share is concerned, we are present in the bar segment only, and there we have around 6% share. Now, there was another question related to what is our share of carbon steel and alloy steel. any steel which we produce, it is a specialty steel. We do not produce any plain carbon steel. Even if it is a carbon steel, it is a specialty steel because we have to meet various properties. And it depends on the market, it depends on the requirement of our customers. So depending on that, the ratio of alloy steel and other engineering steel without much alloys is concerned. Then there was another question that in the past annual report, we have mentioned that our share of value-added products has increased. If we could specify what are considered as value-added products. Now, in steel, continuously, even for automobiles, the OEs, automobile OEMs, they keep on coming out with new models. They ask for different grades, different properties of the steel, and we produce that, we customize for that, we supply it to them for testing, and it's a long process of approval and then get approval. So that becomes a new product. In the last couple of years, we have developed products for various companies, including Tesla, including Schaeffler, SKF, Ilgen, and many more. We are regularly doing it. In fact, we are co-developing products with our customers where the customer tells us the property or some pain area, and jointly we develop a particular product and supply to them. And in the process, we are single source to many of our customers. Then there was a question related to how are the iron ore and coking coal prices trending as compared to last year. Can we expect this level of margins to sustain? Is there any EBITDA? As far as this question is concerned, last 2 years, iron ore prices in India has gone up by almost 30%, while coking coal prices have come down but marginally. But overall, we see our costs have not gone down, basically because the iron ore price increase offsets the coking coal price decrease. At the same time, there is an increase in ferroalloy and flux prices. Then there was a question related to the company has undertaken various cost measures over the years, which is reflected in our performance. If you could help us understand how has the consumption of iron ore, coking coal, and power reduced per ton of steel produced. You see, several years back, we were consuming almost 670 to 680 kg of coke per ton of hot metal. Today, we are consuming around 540 kg of fuel, which is comprised of around 440, 450 kg of coke and cheaper variety of coal, that is PCI, around 100, 110 kg. So this is one of the way by which our costs have come down. We could also reduce energy consumption in the complete manufacturing process. Then there was a question related to last year, how come our energy consumption has gone down? That is a purchased energy, purchased power which has gone down. Since our coke oven is already commissioned, so balance of the energy is produced in-house by utilizing coke oven gas into power by our internal power plant. And that energy is utilized internally. Then there was a question related to do we have sufficient capacity of coke making facility as well as sinter plant? Yes, for the current capacity of 250,000 tons, we do have adequate capacity. Then there was a question, there has been an increased focus of produce more steel from electric arc furnace route as it is more environment friendly. This question has been well answered by the chairman. As he mentioned rightly, there are two technologies. One is electric arc furnace, second is integrated steel plant. Electric arc furnace, if you use RE power, you use scrap, you are able to reduce carbon substantially, and that's what our Pune plant is doing. We have replaced all our fossil fuels to biofuels and all. While the technology in an integrated steel plant is yet to be established for commercial scale, and it requires huge amount of investment. that is still under development. Then there was a question related to Kalyani and Odisha expansion, which has been very well explained by the chairman. Then there was a question: how does management monitor intercompany transactions? You see, as far as intercompany transactions are concerned, they are completely on arm's length basis. I like to mention here the price of steel, which is to be supplied to our customers, is settled by auto OEs like Tata Motors or Mahindra and Mahindra or Maruti will settle the price with us or the steel industry, and at that price we are supposed to supply material to their component manufacturers. So even if we have to supply to anything to the Bharat Forge or any other group company, we have to supply at that price. So they are their basically conversion agents. So we have no choice. We have to supply at the arm's length. We have to negotiate with the automobile manufacturers and supply at that price. Then as far as other parties concerned, all other related party transactions, they are well within approved limits of audit committee and shareholders, which are all reviewed by auditors regularly, and related party transactions entered during the quarter are reviewed by audit committee on quarterly basis. Then there was a question related to what are the principal objectives of the company's business plan for the next few years. So this is also already explained by chairman. Next 4 to 5 years, our major focus will be on implementation of Odisha plant as far as reduction or manufacturing of further value-added product. Then there was a question: how does the company assess its liquidity and the availability of funding sources for operations? You see, we prepare our annual business plan, which is broken into monthly plan, and then even the monthly plan is broken into weekly plan, which is based on our sales collection as well as payments to our vendors, employees, and all other stakeholders who are supplying services and materials to us. Then there was a question: what is the effect of the current budget on our business? Last budget, there was hardly anything which are basically related to our business. Then there was a question related to the mining, that the recent judgment of Supreme Court, where they have given powers to the state governments to impose taxes and duties retrospectively, what is the impact on us? As far as we are concerned, in the recent judgment dated 25th July 24, Honorable Supreme Court has given a verdict that state government have competence to enact laws to levy tax on mining land and activities. This judgment will be applicable retrospectively for the transactions made after 1st April 2005. In the above background, please note that Karnataka state had levied forest development tax from 2016, which was subsequently amended to forest development fee. By amending the provisions of the Karnataka Forest Act to change the word tax to fee, both levy of FDT and FDF were challenged before High Court of Karnataka and were disposed of, and directed the Karnataka state government to refund such FDT and FDF. However, the matter of FDT and FDF are now pending before Honorable Supreme Court. Now, depending on this verdict of 25th of July, Supreme Court may give its verdict on FDT and FDF and fix up the liability. And then subsequently, we expect that as far as Karnataka is concerned, it may be from 2016, while in Odisha, it was imposed from 2005, so companies in Odisha may get impacted from that. Then there was a there was a question related to: can you provide volume and EBITDA guidance for the year? Sir, it is very difficult to comment anything about the EBITDA per ton even though we are able to consistently maintain our profitability and improve our profitability, however, the market is highly volatile in terms of raw material prices and the customer expectations. So it is very difficult to comment anything on that. Then there was a question related to foreign currency term loan. You see, we always evaluated last more than 1.5 decade or 2 decades. We have found that if we take ECB, keep it open, our average cost is lower as compared to borrowing on rupee loan. And even in the last transaction where we had borrowed is in ECB for our Coco one, we are finding we are not on the negative side. We are better off borrowing in ECB. Then there was a question related to this our imports and exports. You know, as far as we are concerned, we have to import materials which are raw materials which are not available in the country, particularly coking coal and earlier coke, which we have to import from various countries, including Australia. We do have to import ferroalloys like nickel, moly, vanadium, which are not available in the country, and we have to import certain variety of refractories. So since we have to import all this, there is a outgo in the form of foreign exchange outflow. As far as exports are concerned, we really there is an indirect export of our products in the form of components. We are supplying to a lot of foreign companies in India. They get converted our steel in the form of components and export. Same thing with our other customers also. A good quantum of our steel finally goes abroad.
I think, Mr. Goel, the rest of it you can send it by mail.
Yeah, okay, rest of yes. And then there was one question related to women employees. We have some 88 women employees as of now. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Goel.
Thank you, sir.
I hope we have answered most of your questions. If some of them have been left out, you will get a reply in writing from our secretarial department. And if there is still something left out, please send a mail to our secretarial department and they will respond to you. Members may note that voting on the